Yeah, it's dark.
The moon landing happened, Jake.
Real dad shit, dog.
Don't fuck with me or I'ma fuck with you.
For all the emo sad girl, I want to touch bellies with this man.
Hey guys, welcome back to SceneLabs. So you may notice things look very different if you're watching the video version of this podcast. As I kick my microphone. Jake's not here. He sends his regards. He wishes he could be here because we have a very exciting episode today. This is James from ex-guitarist of Our Hollow Our Home. How you doing, man?
How you doing? Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. And we also have assisting me in this interview is Blake. He's been on the podcast before. If one of our biggest episodes. So we got a pretty good squad in here today.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. So, James, I just want to start right off rip here and let's get it out of the way. New Our Hollow Our Home record that you were a part of came out today.
It did.
Which is very exciting because getting to do an interview with an artist that worked on something on release day is just so sick. So, thank you for joining us.
Of course, man. No problem.
I think we want to get the sad, down in the dump stuff out of the way first, and then let's get into the musical side of the record because we can end that on a really good note.
Yeah, sure.
James, there's been quite a bit of discourse in the Our Hollow Our Home universe over the last, what would you say, year or so? Maybe less than that.
Yeah, since we all joined, really. It all started with the last four leaving, you know?
Yeah. And for those that don't know, there was a very similar situation, the album cycle, or before this album cycle, where the entire band, except for the lead singer, Tobias, had walked away from the project, rebooted it. James was one of those new members. They made an awesome record together. But James, I want to just give you the opportunity to start us from the beginning, man, with your journey with Our Hollow Our Home. The whatever good, whatever bad you want to tell us about how everything started with the band when you first joined.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's a really long story, and it starts off really well. Obviously, none of us really knew each other. I knew Toby from before because my very old band called I Defy toured with his very old band, which was Our Hollow Our Home, but it had a different name back then. So we kind of knew each other for the span of 15 years or something.
Wow.
And in that time, I actually stepped away from music for a good 13 or so years, a long time. And in that time, they just grew and grew and grew. And I knew those boys, and I was super proud of them. And I'd always kind of pop up and be like, really, you know, they announced a bunch of shows with The Day to Remember and The Ghost Inside and stuff. And I'd always pop up, super proud of you boys. Well done for sticking it out. And then, you know, as time sort of went on, I decided I wanted to do music again, so I started writing some songs. And you know how it is, like a lot of people that were in the scene when I was in the scene were no longer doing it. They'd all got kids and moved on and things like that. But I still knew Toby, and I was like, hey dude, do you want to sing on these demos for me? Because then I can use that to audition people, etc., etc., etc. And then he basically just said, this comes at a very interesting time. And then called me and told me that the four band members had left. It literally happened the day before. That's how
really
wow,
fate it was. You know what I mean?
So I got to ask you.
Yeah.
With that being said, when you heard that the whole band had left prior, was there any cold feet that you had in that moment? Were you concerned at all, or were you just looking at it as an opportunity?
So at the time, three had definitely left. And then Larry, the bassist, was kind of still kicking around for a week or so. And I had my initial kind of call with Larry and Toby, you know. And Toby sort of explained to me that they just had their reasons for leaving, and they were all very amicable. And, you know, it was one had just had twins, so he was stepping away to look after his kids. Totally reasonable. One of them wanted to focus on, I think it was career. I can't quite remember.
Sure. All normal reasons to step away from a band.
All
or
normal
a project.
reasons. So I'm thinking that's fine. The band have just They've just got signed. They're going up to that next level. The commitment level has shot up from, touring occasionally to touring a lot and things like that. And that's just very... Sometimes you join a band, you don't expect it to get so big. It gets to a point where you can't commit to it anymore. People want to focus on other things. So that's kind of what I was told. And I guess, no, I never had any red flags about the reasons why people had left. Since leaving Our Hollow Our Home, I have, spoken to these people, and they have told me that they left for the same reasons that we left, basically.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of feels a bit like, maybe we should have all probed into it a bit more and things like that, But Our Hollow Our Home was a larger band that was doing really, really well. It was a really big opportunity to join and do that kind of thing and to be able to tour around Europe and et cetera. So I guess the excitement kind of just like overtook. You didn't really want to start asking questions because it was so unbelievable that you had the opportunity. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So that's kind of what we did. And then we joined and things were okay for a while. And we were all just sort of getting to know each other at the start. None of us really knew each other. We met, we did like 2 practices and then played our first show that was to like 3,000 people.
Wow.
We had about 6 weeks to prepare for that show or something.
So safe to say things moved very quickly.
Extremely quickly. So there wasn't a lot of time to really think about that kind of thing. It was like, hey, you got to learn like 40 minutes worth of material in 6 weeks, get it tight when you're only going to get together in a room, 3 times, I think, beforehand or twice. And then on top of that, you had all of the kind of pre us announcing content that we were making that we would release post us, people knowing who we are, like we did like a documentary and that was a lot of work and things like that. And so it was all just very, very, very rapid. And then just sort of as time went on and the dust settled and the kind of, I guess the charm of joining a band that was doing bigger and better things kind of wore off a bit and it became a little bit more realistic and this is where we are, etc. That's when, like, I guess we started to notice more issues, and particularly around touring, that's when it was exacerbated a lot and people just really weren't happy with... I've been racking my brain how to, like, say this story without just, like, for want of a better phrase, just shitting all over a dude, right?
Well, and honestly, I can understand how that would be difficult in this situation, and I want to give you the opportunity to tell that story however you think is best.
And considering that I was also like a victim of this, right? I still don't want to go too hard or too crazy or anything like that and cause like a big scene and like loads of drama and stuff. But the way I've kind of been telling people is this is how people felt when they were in the band, because that's true. People did feel like that. So I'm not accusing anyone of any, I guess, wrongdoing. But I'm just telling you how people felt. People felt like they were being disrespected with the way that they were being spoken to, with the way they were being treated. People felt like they couldn't get involved with the writing process, couldn't get involved with X, Y, and Z. And it was kind of hidden under, come round my house, we'll write the record, we'll all be in the room together, blah, 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 blah. And you would all get in the room together and everything. But then the minute anyone kind of suggests anything, it's like, nope, we're doing this. So no one really got any ideas in anyways. So these writing sessions were more just kind of like us sat on the couch, like watching him write, you know what I mean? So people felt a little disconnected from the music and all the rest of it. And there were certain songs that were supposed to be about certain topics that were personal to members of the band that ended up, the lyrics got changed so much and messed around that they ended up not being relevant. And then people felt like, that was going to be a song that I could connect to, and now I can't, and things like that.
Let me ask you a quick question, if you don't mind me interrupting here.
Go ahead.
Just because I want to get it at the beginning here. So you joined the band. Were you the first of the new members to join, of Gaz, Matt, and Kieran?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So how soon after you joined did those 3 hop on?
Kieran and Matt joined. I think Kieran was first, and he was in pretty quickly after me. Matt was friends with Toby already, and was kind of like an obvious choice for Toby. He joined thereafter, and then it was a long time before. It was like months before we found Gaz. We had really hard times finding a singer, actually.
Okay.
So Gaz wasn't. I guess he didn't see the post or something the first time we ran the ads for it, and then when we redid it, because we didn't really get anyone that we did actually have people we liked. Interestingly enough, we had 2 people that we really liked, and both of them pulled out. And
Really?
we were like, why? That seems really strange, because they both pulled out at like the same time. And then we later found out that the previous members had messaged them and said, hey, saw a couple of posts that kind of sounded like you might have been auditioning for Hollow. Just to let you know, don't join. These are the issues we had, and then they pulled out. But they said things like, oh, work's told me maybe I can't get the time off or whatever. So we were like, oh, okay, well, that's a coincidence. You know what I mean? But actually, they had been warned. I wish I had got warned. But yeah, it's the way it is. So we did a second round of like, hey, we're still looking for a vocalist. And that's when Gaz hopped on. And he was just perfect, because I don't know if you've heard his band from Sorrow to Serenity before he joined Hollows. So good vocally, just amazing. So
I mean, he sounds great on this new record too. So I believe it that he was great on that too.
Yeah, so we kind of lucked out with Gaz a bit. So yeah, it was probably, we had a full lineup between me joining and actually having a full lineup. It was probably about 3 months, 2 or 3 months, I think, off the top of my head.
Okay.
I can't quite remember.
So but, did the 4 of you kind of have like an almost a bond while going through this whole situation, where it was like, wow, we're all in the same spot together, dealing with the same things?
Yeah, we were. It wasn't really all that kind of prevalent when we weren't touring, but when we were touring, it definitely felt like we were all experiencing this issue together, and it just made us tighter as a unit, you know, because somebody would have a run-in, you know, something was said that annoyed someone or whatever, and then they would come to the rest of us, you know, he's gone and said this, or he's gone and done that, and it annoyed me and all that. And then we would kind of like, you know, talk it out or whatever, or have a couple of drinks, you know, hang out. Then that person would feel better, and it kind of just happened to all of us, you know what I mean? But by the time we got to the end of our last tour, there was a moment that happened in Holland where, you know, there was a really big blowout between one of us and Toby. It was horrendous. It was really bad. Like, I thought that it could potentially have got physical, although it didn't, and it would have surprised me if it did. But I mean, the screaming and the yelling was something else. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And but it needed to happen. Honestly, it needed to happen in that person's defense. And I love him, and I agree that he had to do that, because there was just no way of like. I could sit down and say, hey, dude, the way you're being is annoying, X, Y, and Z. These are the reasons, blah, 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 blah. It would just not, he just would not have listened. He'd been like, well, that's their problem. If they don't want to be in the band, they can just leave, blah, blah, blah. That would have been the response. You know what I mean?
So at the time of that blow up, did y'all still have hope that the project could heal from that and there could be some healing from that conversation? Or did y'all just know that was like it?
I thought we could carry on. It was really tough. Like in the moment, like that, like evening, it happened really late at night, just as we were getting into a hotel after a show. I thought, this is really bad. I'm gonna have to pull a rabbit out of a hat to like kind of fix this situation. And I stayed up very, very late thinking about how I was going to deal with it, because I kind of played like the mediator role. I was kind of like Dr. Phil in the band, you know what I mean? Just trying to like keep the peace, talk to everyone on their own. So I woke up in the morning, and the first thing I did is I messaged the person that had the blowout with Toby, and I said, how you feeling? Do you want to have a talk about this? Like, how do you feel now? He goes, and he said, his response was, I'm just as angry now as I was last night. And I was like, brilliant. This is going to go really well. So
that's when you know the rabbit that you tried to pull out of the hat wasn't doing magical rabbit things.
Yeah, I was like, fantastic. So, you know, I took him away, and I took every single member of the band away, and some random town in Holland. We just walked around this like big like block of like houses. And I just said, like, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have this meeting. Everyone's going to have a chance to speak. Everyone's going to say their piece. We're going to lay it out all on the table. There's going to be no more talking about how much he's annoying you behind the scenes and not actually telling him or saying anything about it. Do you know what I mean? And we're just going to get all out on the table. And then he's going to have his say. And everyone's going to, like, shut the fuck up and let everybody talk. No one's going to talk over each other, blah, 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 blah. It's going to be great. And then we're all going to hug it out. And that's it. And I said, what do you want the outcome of the meeting to be before we even have the meeting? And everybody said, I want everyone to be boys. I want everyone to be bros. I want the band to continue. We want to just have a sick time.
Including Toby.
Including Toby, right? And I was like, great, then we're all on the same page. This is going to be easy, right? So we had the meeting. Everyone had their say. It went well. It got to Toby. There was a bit of a shaky bit where Toby said, last time someone talked to me like that, I put them through a wall. And then I was looking over at the other guy. And then the other guy was like, he was looking like we've just had a really nice meeting and then you've just said that. And then he's kind of taking it as a bit of a threat. And I'm like, okay, so everyone, let's just hug it out, like, end the meeting now. So we, like, hugged it out, and it was like, and it was done, and I was like, that's cool. And then for a little while, it was cool, and then it started getting, like, brought up again, you know?
So for, like, a timeline's sake, where was this meeting in regards to the announcement that y'all had left the band?
It was during our last European tour, which was July, I think. Somewhere in the middle of July, this would have happened. So yeah, and then just as time went on, what happened is basically Toby was like, "I'm so sorry that I hurt you boys. I don't mean to do it. It's just I'm going through a lot at the moment." Blah 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 blah. You know, gave us all of that, and then progressively as time went on, he started going, the way you spoke to me was unacceptable, and then just started elevating it again, and then it was like, God damn! And then it got to a point where I couldn't. Like, they just wouldn't talk to each other. I'd be talking to Toby on the phone. He'd be telling me stuff to tell the rest of the band. Then I would tell the rest of the band. They would tell me, no, hell no, that's not happening. And then I would go and tell Toby. And that's the point. In this room that I'm in right now, actually, where I got off the phone with Toby. Then I rang the rest of the boys. I conveyed the message. And then the way they were saying it. And I just knew how Toby would reply to it. So, and I just thought to myself, this is over. There's just no way I can, like, mend this. And that's when I turned to the rest of the boys and I just said, boys, I'm done. Like, I've got no energy left. Like, you're either going to be friends or, like, you're not. It's that simple. I'm not going to force you to be friends anymore.
Well, and it's got to be hard being the glue in a situation like that, especially when, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you were seeing their point of view more so than you were seeing his in these situations.
Yeah, I mean, I could see Toby's side to it too. Do you know what I mean? Like, but it's just Toby was running it like it was a business, but he was treating the people in the business like they were machines, and that's the problem. He wasn't treating people like they were people. He was treating them like they were staff, and kind of bossing them around a bit like that. And people just didn't like that, and they just didn't feel included in anything, and it's just like a bad manager, That's kind of what it felt like, and everyone just wanted to quit because the manager is shitty, right? Just like any other job, Yeah. But like what he was saying and the things that needed to be done for the band and all that, that's all like fine. It's just how it was approached, Like if like yelling at people to get in the van was a big one. That really pissed people off because like we'd all be chilling, we'd be like talking to fans would want to talk to us, we'd be signing stuff, everything would be cool. And like we'd be talking to some people that they're excited to talk to us, we're excited to talk to them, and then he'd just show up, and it'd just be like, "Get in the van now, we're going," and it'd be like that. Do you know what I mean? Like in front of fans and shit, and it was just embarrassing, dude. Like people just got embarrassed. You'd have to turn to the fans and be like, "Sorry about it." Do you know what I mean? And it's like,
oh man.
And when we had, our bassist got pulled aside by Aaron from 1056, from the band that we was in, and Aaron basically just said to him, "Hey man, like, why are you putting up with this kind of stuff?" And that's when it kind of clicked in for Matt. It's just like, oh my God, like, even other bands are noticing this that we're on tour with and things like that, and why are we putting up with it? Do you know what I mean? And it was noticed by other bands and other people kind of like within our vicinity and things like that, and yeah, it was just embarrassing. People just didn't want to deal with it no more. Do you know what I mean? And it's just the way it happened, man. I wish it was different, but I can't force people to be friends. You know what I mean? Like I did that Blake, for a long time, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, Blake, what's your reaction to all that, man? Because like I'm sitting over here, like, man, I've listened to like the stories about what happened with Under Oath when they broke up and how they used to fight all the time, and I was like, this almost sounds like it's on another level. And
like when you mentioned in front of fans, that's kind of like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, because most bands, after their set, after the show, like to just mingle a bit, give fans an opportunity to chat them up a bit, and to just I don't know, that's wild to me.
Yeah.
And was it always like that from the very beginning when you guys started touring? I mean, did you notice that behavior immediately, or was it a gradual thing?
We didn't really play a lot of shows, So when we joined, it was all about writing the album. Getting this next album out. We did a 5-day run with Attila in the UK, and then we did a small run. I want to say 5 days again. Could have been, I can't remember, 4 days maybe, with a French band called Rise of the North Star. In the UK, again, just small clubs and stuff, and then we did the Crystal Lake 1056 tour in Europe, and I guess it only took that short period of time to fuck things up. Does that make sense? The rest of the time, it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? People are a bit annoyed about not being involved in the songwriting and stuff, but you could kind of live with that, because a lot of bands just have one guy that writes all the songs and stuff. But it was just on tour. It was just unbearable. I think it got to a point. If you want to ask me my personal opinion, once he'd been called out, I don't think he wanted to hang with us anymore. If I'm being completely honest, right? He didn't want to do another tour with us. He didn't want to. I think for him, it was kind of just all ruined a bit, And instead of just saying that, he just kind of lent on some personal things and things, which are probably valid as well. But I also think that it was probably that he just didn't want to hang out with us anymore. Do you know what I mean? He was just looking for a way out. It felt like he was looking for a way out, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just want to say this, actually, just in case he's watching this, right, is that I'm pissed at him, right? But I don't know how to say it. I'm pissed at him because he's ruined fucking, what could have been, a really good thing, And I was really enjoying it. I was loving playing the shows. I felt like the kind of music career thing was doing pretty well. You know what I mean? Yeah. After being 13 years off and then coming back, I was like, this is sick, loving it. So, and I hate that he's made everybody feel like this. And I hate that I feel like I've been manipulated by him and things like that. At the same time, I hope he's okay. Because people have been fucking battering him on the internet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's going through a lot with his personal life, with his mum and all that kind of stuff as well. And I've done my fair share of battering in anger and all the rest of it, you know what I mean? But I hope he's I do genuinely hope he's not mentally in a bad place, or I hope he's doing okay in that regard. And I hope his mum's doing okay as well, for real.
And I think that's huge of you to come out and say, especially with, how things were run and what you had to deal with. Because honestly, the way you're saying that you feel, the fans probably feel similar, just a lot more confused and not really sure where to direct their frustration at. And I'm not saying that they should batter him online. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just think that closure is a really important thing when it comes to a band that you're emotionally invested in.
Yeah, on closure, I wish the four of us could have had our opportunity to put our statements out on the band's profile page, because we don't. The band's clearly got a lot more fans and followers and all the rest of it that follow that page than our personal pages, and we never really got the opportunity, because at the moment we said we were leaving and that was it. He just kind of blocked us on everything, so we couldn't have possibly said goodbye to the fans. Which sucks. It really sucks. So luckily, a bunch of people in the comments and stuff were make sure you go to the other band's Instagram pages to see their statements and things like that. And they could see the contrast between ours and his that was official on the band page and things like that. And people got kind of the real story, but it wouldn't have been even a small percentage of the amount of people that followed the band page would have actually seen our post. So there's a whole lot of people out there that have a completely different narrative to what really happened, and and so it sucks. I wish I could have said goodbye to all these people properly, but none of us got that opportunity, unfortunately.
Well, and once we get towards the end of the episode here, where I'm gonna get into the album a little bit, I have a theory and something I'd like to just put out there, but I'm gonna let that wait till it makes more sense.
Okay.
With where we're at right now in the conversation, though, I just want to let you know that, like, I feel like you telling this story and explaining your side of it is very important. And, like, you know, we're going to make sure that it gets seen by as many people as we can, because I was one of those people in the comment section, like, trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. And because I'd recently got into you guys. Like, I had been listening to Our Hollow, Our Home since probably a month before you guys joined the band officially. Like,
Okay.
so when you guys joined and you started releasing the singles for this record, that was like my first experience. I think I had heard like a song they did with Ryo from Crystal Lake at the time and stuff like that. Yeah. But when I became like invested, it was around this time.
Oh, cool, man.
So I'm very happy to give you this opportunity to, like, just tell your fans and tell, you know, the world whatever you want to tell them. And I will say too, in regards to Toby, his lyrics and his writing have resonated with some people. He's very talented. I mean, it's very apparent, right? So I think that it's pretty obvious that you're not trying to just shit on the guy. This stuff happens in real life. This is real life. Like, people will hear this conversation that we're having and be like, man, I can relate to that with, like, a buddy of mine. It's just, it's hard to see it when it's like, when they're up on a stage, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they're in that kind of spotlight. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, no denial, man. He's a really talented dude, always has been, you know. He's got his way of writing, his way of doing things that's very, I guess, like him, if that makes sense. You can tell when he's written a song, like even bands that he writes for, like Ghost writes for, when you listen to their songs, you can kind of hear, oh, that's like got that Toby like vibe to it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, he's a really talented dude. It's just a shame that he's just really stubborn, you know, and it's very much. I mean, he said it. He won't deny this if he sees this, but he's said in the past, you know. My style of writing, the way I do things, and the way that I've managed this band up until this point has gotten the band to this point. So I'm not changing that.
Sure.
Period. Don't care what you say. Don't care what suggestions you have. This is the way it's always been done. This is the way it's going to happen. If you like it, great. If you don't, you can leave. You know what I mean?
Was that set like when you were hired though? Like, was that very apparent? Did he make that clear? No.
No, he like I'll give you an example with the writing. It would be very like I was saying earlier. It'd be very much like, hey, come, let's write together. It's going to be like a group thing. It's going to be great. And then we would all get in the room, and then you would suggest stuff, and then it would just all get. You know, there was a joke about it all being put up on the fridge. You know, oh, great riff, James. We'll just put that one right up on the fridge. You know.
Oh man.
And the fridge kind of became a thing, and it was a joke, and everyone was like, ha ha ha. But then everyone inside was just like, you know, I'm dying here creatively. You know.
Now, and I don't know how much you can speak on for the other members, so just tell me if you feel like you can't speak on them. But for Gaz specifically, was he able to write lyrics for this album?
Okay, so we had a lyric group chat with myself, Gaz, and Toby in it. Okay, I still have it on my WhatsApp, and yeah, you would suggest lyrics and things like that, and I'd say it's probably 90-10 that it would, like, he wouldn't take it and would write his own thing, if that makes sense. And then 10% of the stuff would get through, but he might change a word or something like that. Again, his words, because he knows what works, because he knows what's good, what people like, blah, blah, blah. So, like, you know, just there just wasn't any trust, really, with us. I think I got the first verse of Burial Season in, and then the one line before the breakdown. I think that's my lyrical input. Having been part of the lyric writing process for the whole album, I think that's all I got.
And which is not what you were expecting. Y'all were not expected to be hired talent for this.
No, dude, like, honestly, we were session musicians at the end of the day. It felt like you had a man here whose dream was dying, and he wanted to continue the dream but needed people to do it, and then we came along just as tools to continue his dream along. Does that make sense? It just felt like we were just living somebody else's desires and dreams and all
just added to the payroll.
Yeah, but without any pay. You know?
At the end of the day, it's still a metalcore band, so it's not going to be making that much money.
Yeah, and then Gaz got some lyrics in and stuff, but again, it was kind of similar to me. There wasn't really like that much. I might get a concept in or something. I might say, let's write a song about something, and then bang, there'll be, he would write some lyrics or something. But even the song that Gaz, like Veil Walker, is a song about Gaz's sister who passed away sadly. And I think even that song had loads of lyrics changed and stuff in it. I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm pretty sure every song had loads of lyrics changed. So, I had one about, I've dealt with, and I'm very open about this, I've dealt with a lot of depression and things like that. And I've had like times where it could have been my like last day on earth, right? And thankfully it wasn't. And I've got a 5-year-old daughter who I couldn't imagine now doing anything like that, because I couldn't imagine like her reaction to it. Like I couldn't imagine like hurting her or anything like that. So she's very much like my kind of savior in that way. So we wrote a song, it's actually burial season, about that, right? And the lyric, we were writing all the lyrics, and I was like, this is perfect, but there's like 2 lines that don't make any sense for like my particular situation. Sure. It was very much about blaming yourself for it. So it's like this, I can't remember the exact lines. I'd have to look at the lyrics, but it was something around like, this is my fault, or, something along those lines. And I was like, can we just change these 2 lines? And then then I relate to it like 100%, you know what I mean? Because that's just not how I felt at the time. And I just didn't even get a reply, and then it got recorded, and then bang. And then suddenly the song means nothing to me, So that's on my Instagram, actually. There's a post about it on my Instagram where I've screenshotted where I said that exactly. So if people want to go and check that out, it's on my Instagram.
That really stings to hear, especially the song specific to you and Gaz. And in my mind, especially if you are taking like the more, I'm going to say Caleb Shomo approach, because I know there was definitely a time where it was very well known that Caleb wrote everything for Beartooth, lyrics, music, everything. And, but it didn't seem like that was like something that was hidden. It was very, very open. I think the musicians that worked with Caleb have talked many times about how they love Caleb and they loved that experience.
Yeah.
But when you're getting an opportunity to write songs and lyrics about your own experiences and then get told, no, like, why did we even make this song at all about this concept if I can't relate to it?
Yeah, I'm not actually suggesting an alternative to those lines. I'm just saying those lines don't relate to how I feel. Change them. You can still write it. You know what I mean? Right. So I just don't know why it didn't happen. But that's another thing. Just add it to the pile of like reasons why I'm thinking this isn't cool. Maybe I should not be in this band, etc. But it is the way it is. But like I say, there's loads of bands where just one person writes, and that's totally cool, and people are cool with it, because not everyone in a band can write songs. It's a very different skill than just playing guitar, being able to write a song. And people, a lot of people are just cool with like just playing the instrumentals. They're just happy playing bass or whatever it is that they're doing. But for a lot of us, we just wanted to feel a lot more connected to the music. Yeah. I mean, me especially, I used to be a vocalist. I used to write lyrics. That's kind of, I like performing music where I feel like I connect with it and I'm conveying a message and I'm letting out some emotion somehow. And it just, with Hollow, it just felt stale, like I was just playing other people's songs. And a session musician without getting any session musician pay. Not that I didn't care about pay at all, to be honest, myself. But there were people in the band that really did care about getting paid, because they had to be paid, because they were taking unpaid leave at work and things like that. And they still had their rent to pay and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So they have to get paid if we're going to go on tour, you know what I mean? But they weren't. And it caused all kinds of dramas, in people's personal lives and stuff. But yeah. It's crazy. It's so neggy. It's so neggy.
No, you're good, man. This is exactly what I wanted out of this.
Okay.
Let me ask you some specific questions, though, if you don't mind.
Sure.
The song Downpour was the first single with the new lineup, correct?
Yeah.
and that was originally supposed to be on Hope and Hell, right?
No.
Or was it not?
No.
Okay.
It was the reason for Downpour was the old lineup had left, a new lineup had joined. Nobody kind of knew if it was still going to be good or not. Loads of people were doubting the band. Industry folks were becoming not interested. Lots of people were saying the band was dead. We had a tour with another band on the same label that we were on, and they kicked us off the tour because they said the band's dead.
Ow.
So we were like, we have to do something and do something quickly to prove that we're still alive and kicking and that we're doing something. Let's get a song out as soon as possible, and that's where Downpour came from.
Well,
it was literally just a statement piece. That's all it was.
And is like quickly thrown together as it sounds like it was. It's a great song. I remember hearing that song. I was actually visiting Florida at the time. I was on vacation, and this had all happened, and everyone, like you said, was kind of wondering what was going to happen. And then that song came out, and I think that for me and a bunch of my friends, we were just like, okay, turn the light back on. They're back. Like, everything's good because this is a banger.
Yeah, that was what it was designed to do, dude. So I'm glad that happened. There was a toss up between Blood Moon, which is the 10th track on the album, whether that one was going to come out first or if it was Downpour. Downpour was actually, both Blood Moon and Downpour were songs that were written prior to the new lineup, but not prior to the new lineup. Downpour was written originally for Toby's fiance's band, a band called Lightwave.
Oh.
And then he played it to me, and I went, that doesn't sound like Lightwave, dude, because Lightwave is more like kind of, I guess, pop punky type music. And I was like, that sounds like a Hollow song. And then we had this moment where it was kind of awkward, where we kind of had to tell his fiance, hey, like, we're going to kind of take the song. It was written by Toby still, but for another band, So we kind of poached it, and made it our own. But there was a chance, like Blood Moon was something that come like from like 2017 or something, like a long time ago. Something that our producer Sky had worked on a long time ago, and that could have been in place of Downpour, but it ended up being on the album.
Well, I just wanted to sing that song's praises a little bit. It's kind of difficult. I haven't even really decided how I want to approach the album, because it sounds like, you guys may have been a part of the writing process a lot less than I originally had at least hoped for. However, I just want to ask her, I mean, are you proud of this record? Like, like as a whole, or do you genuinely feel like it was kind of a waste of your fucking time? Like, and you can be honest.
It wasn't a waste of my time. Yeah. So I don't feel like there are people in the band that feel like it was a waste of time. I don't feel like that at all. I don't think it was a waste of time. I'll tell you why, because I met the boys, and those guys are like my brothers now. And we had such incredibly good times together. I don't think I've ever laughed so much in my life than I have with those guys. We had an amazing time, and we played some great shows, and we met a lot of like really amazing fans and did some really cool stuff. And I don't regret that at all in the slightest. Like, I love it. I wish I could do it all again, and now if I knew that the band was going to break up before I even joined, but I knew about all these good times and all the fun times we had, I would still do it, even knowing that the band was going to break up in sort of 2 years time in the way that it has and stuff. So like, I don't regret any of that. When it comes to the record, it's hard to say, like, am I proud of it? I think it's hard to be. It's like it's almost like you've asked me, are you proud of your input on The End of Heartache? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's what it feels like you're asking me. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm proud of the amount of effort and work that went into its production. I was there. Me and Kieran flew to Germany to record the drums, get all the takes down, etc., etc. I was a part of. I tracked all of the vocals myself. Prepped all the files. Did a lot of work around like its promotion and things like that. And I'm proud of all of that. But since the band's broken up, I can't say I've even listened to it. Really,
sure.
I can't really bring myself to doing it. It's too sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, and I feel a certain way when I hear his voice.
Sure.
That just ruins it for me. Do you know what I mean? It's the same with our bassist as well. He can't listen to it. He's actually asked me to ask the producer if he can get like a version of the album with just Gaz on it. It's hard. It's just it's tough. It's really tough. Like, do you know what I mean? I guess I'm kind of proud of the work that we did manage to get put into it. But at the same time, I'm almost like, I don't want to say embarrassed by it, but it's kind of a bit cringe now. Like it feels like a flop, like a disaster. Do you know what I mean? It kind of almost feels like I don't want my name attached to it and stuff. It's really weird. Sure. Because I don't want people remembering the guys that were in the last lineup of Hollow as being the guys that come in and then it just kind of died.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And no one really cared when the album came out and blah, 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 blah.
And like, I don't think anyone can fault you for feeling that way, James. I really don't. Like, with everything that you've sat here and told us, it's like I could, if like, let's say I was working in a grocery store, right? If someone asked me, are you proud of the work you did here? It's like, well, kind of, I guess maybe a little bit, but it's a really hard memory, right? Like, cause you referenced another job just out there somewhere. I mean, no one wants to remember those times except for, and then like you said, you had good times within that bad experience, which is obviously awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. We still talk now and we still laugh hysterically just over WhatsApp and stuff. And we are planning on getting together at some point soon just to sort of hang out again. Cause it is sad that we don't see each other. We're not actually from anywhere near each other as well. We're spread out all over England. So to get together is like, it's not like I can just go down the street and see one of them, you know?
Sure.
So yeah, we're going to try and get together again. And when people have time and they've got kind of like their lives together, and there's a bit of like with one of us, there's the band really did mess them up financially really hard. It's gotten to a point now where they're in quite a serious situation, both with their mental health and with their financial well-being and things like that. And before we can even think about meeting up with him or doing anything, like he's just got so much that he needs to deal with, you know.
Sure.
So we're with him throughout all of that, but it was a lot of it was kind of being really careful. The band was making lots of money, but we were told that the band was not making lots of money, and there's no money to pay people for X, Y, and Z, but there was. And people went without being paid from work, but also being on tour, and then not being paid for being on tour, and then came home and couldn't pay their rent, essentially. But the money was there, and that's the annoying thing.
So did y'all have any input on whether or not the record was still going to come out or not?
I think we all wanted it to come out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure all of us wanted it to come out. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. Here's the thing, right? You got a label who's invested, like, I don't know what the figure is. It's probably going to be almost six figures if you was to include the promotion and everything else that goes into it and the ads and blah blah blah. You've got these people that have very easily, and I'm going to sing a Rising's praises here because they very easily, when the last band left, pulled. They could have just gone, you know what? This ain't the band we signed, you know?
Right.
But they stuck with us, you know, and they kept financing stuff. They kept financing us being able to go into the studio. Mm-hmm. It's not cheap going into the studio, especially with someone like Sky, who's like, in my opinion, one of the best producers in the world. He's not cheap, you know, and they financed that and they made it happen, and they stuck with us all the way through, you know, like helping us get the ball rolling, build the band back up to kind of where it was. And they invested like a ton of money into it. I want them to release it. I want them to get some of their money back.
Yeah.
You know, I feel bad that, you know, you look at the band account today, you go on the band's Instagram, like right now, you will not see a post saying the album's out. Go buy it.
Oh, he didn't promote it at all.
No, dude. Disappeared. No one's heard from him. He vanished. So like, there's I'm trying to do my best with the 700 followers that I've got on my Instagram compared to the almost 30,000 that are on the band account. but like I want them to get some of their money back. I think it's like I don't think it's right that you've got a bunch of people that helped you at a time when they could have just dumped you, threw a load of money at you, made a lot of things happen for you. You've got to enjoy all of these experiences and put out an album and all the rest of it, and then we're broken up now, and they're like, what about our investments? That's you'll figure it out. Like that just seems like mind-boggling. Like I can't fathom being a person who's like that. I want to help as much as I can. It's why I'm here talking about the album. People that are listening, go and buy it, please. Support the label.
Shout out to Rising Empire.
Shout out to Rising Empire. The nicest guys on the fucking planet, dude. Like honestly. And I hope to work with them again sometime, I really hope. If I can get another band off the ground, they're going to be the first people I go to, man. Because I've not known support like that.
Yeah, because now that I'm thinking about it, I have seen a Rising Empire promote this music. Like, since everyone left. And it, like, a Rising Empire, like, they've been posting the music videos. They've been making the posts about it. I think they put up, like, a reminder post last week, like, 7 days until Hope in Hell or whatever. I don't remember the exact wording, but your main guy, your lead singer, your whatever he is just not talking about it.
The last remaining person in the band, because everybody left, who has access to all of the social media accounts, has not posted about it.
It's so weird.
Crazy. It's crazy. They threw all that money at it. You're not even going to just tell people, hey, it's out now, go buy it.
It's just an odd choice. Because you're burning a bridge with a Rising at that point, too. In a way. At least I'd hope so.
Exactly.
And like, if he wrote majority of the record, too, like, if it's something that he resonates with, why wouldn't you want to amp that up? It's weird.
And it's also funny? He mentioned in his statement that he's planning on doing, I forget what the show was called, but he said
Halloween.
that Yeah. How in the hell, like, is that? Do you know? Of course, you might not know anything about it, but I just wonder how. How are you going to play that show right now?
Well, that show's not going to happen.
Okay,
dude. Like, all of us from the jump were like, that show's not going to happen. Like we see it and we're like, no. and I was at this point I was still talking to Toby, so I said, hey, dude, like, no one wants to play this show. Like, what are you doing? And he was just like, his literal words were, I'll just find 4 session musicians to replace you.
What, a third time in a row?
I don't know.
Oh, man.
I don't know. We'll just replace you. Oh, well, thanks, mate. It's been lovely being in a band with you, too.
Well, crazy. I do want to spend a few minutes talking about the album, because...
Let's do it.
I do want to ask first, though. So, when it comes... Like, I know you said creatively that you guys didn't get a lot of input on the record, but did you write any, like, riffs that did make the record? No.
I don't think so. I think I got, like, maybe, hey, let's change this note to this note. Because it makes more sense with the chord. Because it makes more sense with the chord underneath it or something. Yeah, but
because like I'm like listening to this thing and I'm like, like some of the riffs on like Veil Walker, like in the middle, it has some like gnarly stuff. So I was, kind of sucks that it ended up that way. But
yeah, it is that way. Yeah, there's no I got a few words on it. It's about it.
I mean, the record's good.
That's the problem, right? That's the conflict.
He can write
the record is good.
Yeah, he can write a song. It's dated, but I come from a period of, listening to, like, End of the Heartache and Boneyards and stuff like that. And I like, it's not dated to me. I'm 36 years old. Like, this is what I love that kind of metalcore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me, that it's dated. But a lot of the reviews for it were calling it like really cliche and dated and old metalcore and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, hey, that's not a bad thing.
I would say that's not a bad thing.
No.
If I can chime in based on like what I've seen in terms of like even just before the record came out with like reception, like I know like you said like Buddy wasn't like really promoting it, but I know like based on like my click on Twitter that a lot of people were very excited for this record.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very
for sure.
excited.
I got a lot of comments and messages and things like that saying that they couldn't wait for and today my phone's been blown up with people saying that they really like the record and things like that, you know what I mean? And it kind of feels weird me going, thanks, man, because it feels like I'm taking credit for something I didn't do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, but I'm glad people like it. I hope people like it. Do you know what I mean? There's people been fans of Our Hollow Our Home before I joined, you know, and it matters to them that this record is really good and that they like it, and it's a good closing chapter of Hollow and things. And I'm happy for them that they like it.
Well, and what I wanted to say earlier was just like, it feels so much less meaningful now that you've shed light on how a part of it y'all were. I feel like
it kind of changes all my questions.
It does. It changes everything, man. Because I thought he was going to come on here and be like, yeah, you know, Gaz wrote like half the lyrics. I had some input on these songs, and you know,
it's kind of weird.
It just
situation.
Sucks.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say it anyway. I feel like our Hollow Our Home fans, you know, it reminded me of like a TV series in the background, right? That there was a lot of drama happening in the background with the actors and the production and all that. But somehow this group of people were able to come together and create the best series finale ever. Like, because this is the finale of Our Hollow Our Home. And specifically those last two tracks on the record, I think, I'm sorry that I don't have the track list pulled up right now.
Grave Warden and Blood Moon.
Yes, dude. Like, holy shit. What a way for a band to go out on, though. Like, and I wanted to sit here and be like, you, James, and Matt, and Kieran, and Gaz, great fucking job. Like, that's what I wanted to come on here and say. Yeah. And instead, I'm going to say, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, Blood Moon is the only one that was actually a collaboration. It's the only one that was actually a collaboration.
Really?
But it was more of a collaboration between our producer Sky and Toby than it was sort of like the rest of us. You know what I mean? Sky made quite a lot of changes to that song, and it was something that Sky had been working on many years ago as well. So that one is kind of like a mixture of our producer and Toby, if that makes sense. You know?
Okay.
In my opinion, it's the best track on the record.
I actually have to agree with you.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
That's my favorite track.
Ooh. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Veil Walker, Lifeline, Funeral Verse, like that.
Veil Walker, or no. Funeral Verse is my number 2.
Yeah, those are killer tunes.
The riff's catchy. The riff's very catchy in Funeral Verse.
I actually like in Reflection, but I know it's like a softer one. But
yeah.
I kind of do that one.
The brief for that was just make people cry. You know,
really?
That's what I said to Toby. Just make it sad.
And it was a callback to a previous Our Hollow album, I'm pretty sure, too.
It was a callback to a lot of Hollow songs, or like many of the lyrics. Like,
really?
There must be about 10 or 11 lines in that song that are just literally lyrics from previous songs.
Huh.
Which I thought was a cool concept when I heard it.
Concept.
Well, it came from Sleep Token.
Came from Sleep Token.
Because Sleep Token, the last song on that last record they just released.
There you go, Blake.
Right?
Yeah. Blake, there you go. Sleep Token got brought up.
Dude, when I heard that from Sleep Token, I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. And I was like, right, we're throwing back like loads of lyrics here. Because it makes sense though, because that song is obviously about like his dad passing away and stuff, and there's a whole album that is about his dad passing away as well.
Yep.
And in every sort of album that's gone on, there's always been a song that kind of referenced it, and this was kind of like the closing of that, even though at the time the band was planning on continuing on and things like that. He was going to end that chapter of kind of talking about, you know, his dad and etc with that song, and so it kind of made sense to pull like previous references up because it was all about reflecting back and things like that, you know, which is why
it was so
cool.
Yeah, it was so sad though to hear that song after knowing Our Hollow was coming to an end, because you know it's about his dad, right? But at the same time, man, for some of us fans, it felt so like surreal because we're listening to these words, this goodbye, and it's like, how in the world could we not relate this to one of our favorite bands going away?
Yeah, the meaning for it changes, right? Like, again, it's the perceiver, it's the person receiving it, isn't it? It's the way you perceive it, you know. And I guess people will connect it to potentially the band breaking up, but some people might connect it to people that they've lost and stuff. It just depends on who it lands on, I guess, you know. Yeah. But yeah, there is a new dynamic to it now that you can link it to.
I mean, even as a
go ahead.
listener, like, I wasn't a big avid listener of, like, Our Hollow, Our Home. I know the last record, and there's an EP that I think I heard a few years ago. But, like, not knowing the old songs, so not knowing that, like, In Reflection was about that, even still, like, upon my first listen, I was like, this is definitely a standout song.
Yeah.
Even without the connection, right? So I think it's, I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people, regardless of whether they know that or not, It's cool.
Yeah. If you like that song, but you haven't heard a lot of old Hollow stuff, listen to Parting Gift by Hollow. That's
Parting Gift?
Also, it's also
That's my favorite Our Hollow, Our Home song.
Really?
Yeah, it's fucking great. Like, it's with the old lineup and stuff. It's an incredibly good song.
Is that on the last record?
It's on In Moment in Memory, I think.
Oh, 2 albums ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to say, James, that's big of you to say, like, even shouting out like old songs that you think are good after all this has happened.
Dude, like, there's so many songs by the previous lineup I think are better written than the stuff that's on that album. Oh, for sure. Like, yeah, for sure. Like, there's some bangers with the previous lineup. Some absolute bangers. But,
did you like listen like casually Our Hollow, Our Home before you joined the band?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
we were all fans before we joined.
Oh, wow.
Sure.
Wow.
Do you have any plans to make music again, or do you have any projects that you're planning on working on?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Yes, 100%, dude. Like, so the sad thing first is that, like, not everybody that was in Hollow before is even wanting to do a band again because of, like, how traumatizing the whole thing was. For me, I'm going to continue. So awesome. I am already, I've written 12 songs already.
Really?
Yeah, but they're all just sort of me messing around with genres, seeing what I like and stuff. And it's kind of like the 12 songs you wouldn't put on an album together. Like, one of them's death metal, then the next one's like a ballad, then another one's more like metalcore and blah blah blah. It's kind of one's a bit more industrial. So it's kind of just me playing around. But the plan was write lots of material, like a brain dump of material. Get it in the hands of my producer, Sky, the same guy that's done this record. And then I also gave him like a playlist of like 18 songs from other bands and stuff that I really like, and we're using all of it as like inspiration to write a song together.
That's awesome. Actually,
so those 12 songs and the 18 songs from the other bands are all going to come together and create one. That's then going to inform kind of what the look, mood, tone, name, style. It's kind of all going to be music led, from the vibe I get from the song. And then I'll use it to find some members, and then we'll go from there. We're hoping to still have some kind of industry backing, so that we can continue to record more songs and then start touring again and kind of get the whole thing moving all over, But so 100%. And I've been really public about it. I've been posting like all the demos I've been writing. Everything on my stories, like it's all out there. People can listen to it. It's just demos. None of it will actually be the songs that you hear for real with the real band, etc. But I was just trying to keep people engaged and keep giving as much as I can, music wise to people. Well,
you had referenced your 700 followers. I think it was more than that, right? But
it's like 730 or something.
I feel like I've looked at your comment sections, and it looks like you have a lot of people that are supportive and they're excited for what you're doing next. And I know for sure I'm one of them.
Of the 730 people that I have, a lot of them are engaged, which is great. That's awesome. Right? Like, a lot of them comment, a lot of them like, a lot of them. It's not just like I have 730 ghosts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Right. They're all very much engaged in what I'm doing. A lot of people. I get more interactions, I guess, now when I post something about the new project that's coming up than I do when I post about Hollow stuff now on my Instagram, which is really good. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's great.
And if it wasn't for all of that, because it's so easy, like when you've taken a hit like that, to be like, I'm just done with music. I mean, it's happened to two of us already, and it happened to me 13 years ago, and I've been there, and I know how this feels, and I'm like, you just got to power through, you know. The day the announcements went out, I was in the studio all day, just writing songs. I was like immediate. There was no break. It was like the announcements have gone out, bang, writing. You know, there's no messing around. So like, it's always been no question to me that I was going to carry on, but it had, you know, it's helped that I've had so many people comment with their support, with their kind of really excited to hear what's coming, what's happening with the new band. Are you looking for members? Are you Because the interest has made it feel like that there's potentially still a career to go after, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know,
do you know about the other guys?
Yeah.
And like their projects, are they like, which ones are starting new projects? Which ones are have
Kieran
anything I can promote here?
No, I mean, well, yeah, Kieran's Instagram, for sure, you can promote, because he is moving. He's not doing bands, but he's doing a lot of drum content. So he's going to be like a social media drummer guy, right? Just putting out covers and things like that. Do you know what I mean? And he's really good at that sort of stuff. I ain't got a clue when it comes to social media, but like he's really clued up about all that kind of stuff. I'm sure he'll do really well, and he had been doing really well before Hollow as well. So he's going to go back to doing that. He enjoys doing that. That's what he's comfortable doing. So definitely go follow him, because he's a sick drummer. And check out his you know, material. Matt is just Matt's just doing Matt. You know, he laser removes like tattoos off people for a living. You know,
oh wow,
and that's like you know, him and his wife run a tattoo shop together. So she tattoos people, and he not the same tattoos, but he takes tattoos off people. And they've got like an amazing little shop, and they're doing so well. It's crazy. Like his wife's like TikTok and stuff gets like millions and millions and millions of hits.
That's awesome.
So they do. So he's just focusing on that business and nailing that down. And you know, he said that he might do a small, like maybe covers or something in the future or whatever. But at the moment, he's just focusing on what he's doing, which is great. Gaz is just dealing with he's just dealing with life at the moment. Just getting through that. Once he's got his like stuff together, then you know he's 100% kind of adamant that he's going to come back to music, which is great. Like potentially, like even with me, I mean, we said that we were going to do something together. Like he's potentially the vocalist of this new project that I'm doing. I guess we'll just see what happens, you know, and whether he ends up in a position where he could do a band again. At the moment, he couldn't. I don't think he could like contribute to it at the moment, because he's got too much that he needs to deal with, you know. It's personal to him that I won't get into, but once he's got like all that down, we'll see where I'm at, because I might still be looking for members in like 6 months. Who knows? We'll see what goes on, and then we'll go.
Well, and I will tell you this.
My door's always open to him, man. I love that guy, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say, too, some of my friends that listened to our Hollow when these singles were coming out, and we knew that the band was over.
Yeah.
The first question one of my friends asked me was, I wonder what Gaz is doing next, because we were impressed by how good he is as a vocalist.
He's so good.
If you get a chance, let him know we're ready whenever he is, and I'll eat that shit up.
For sure. Yeah, he's extremely talented, and whatever he does next, it's sure to be amazing, you know, whether it's with me or whether it's with someone else. I just want him to be happy, you know.
Yeah.
That's it. I want him to be doing what he wants to do for a living. I want all of his like issues that he's got going at the moment get ironed out. He knows I am here for him whenever. You know, I'm always on the phone to him every day, checking up on him, etc., etc. Like, you know, whatever he needs, I'm always around. You know.
Well, all those links will be down in the description of this audio and video episode, so you can check out everything these guys got going on. Go listen to Hope and Hell. I mean, let's support a rising empire. Let's support these dudes, and it's a good album. I mean, you hear it from me and Blake. It's a good metalcore album.
It's a good album. Yeah, it scratches a good edge.
It does. For sure.
Honestly, it's a great album. Just pretend you don't know anything about the drama. Listen to the album. It's a great album.
Yeah.
So hopefully they listen before they listen to this interview, so they can enjoy it once without the bias.
But like I say, definitely go and pick it up. Support Arising. You can get vinyls from them. You can get CDs from them. Just do it. You know, they deserve it. And I hope that anything that I do like this just sends at least one person to go and buy the record, you know?
Well, and yeah, go watch the music videos too, because I'm pretty sure one of them was nearing towards 500,000 views already. Funeral Verse, I think. I don't remember, but I know they had a good number of watches. So go watch the music videos too. They're really well made.
Cool. Yeah, shout out Ollie Duncanson, the videographer. One of the best in the UK.
Well,
and his band as well. Check out The City Is Ours, all one word.
The City Is Ours.
City Is Ours.
They're also on a rising. The vocalist, the screaming vocalist, is the guy that made all of the music videos for Hollow. Even with the previous lineup, he made most of the ones with the previous lineup. He made all of them with us.
Oh,
sick.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, James, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And know that you always have a platform here whenever you have music coming out or you want to talk about it or whatever. Just hit us up and we'll get it out there for you.
Amazing. Thank you.
And Blake, thank you for stepping in today to help me. I know I'm sick and missing my co-host, so it means the world.
Thanks for having me, man. It's exciting.
But we have another huge interview coming out next week that Blake will also be here for. I'm not giving it away, but anyway, thanks again, guys. And it was a good episode.